Welcome to Granite Spirits Podcast, a place where you learn about being 100% human and 100% divine all at the same time. I'm your host, Laura Lynn, and today is going to be just me. I'm going to talk about my self expression journey and how it's all kind of come together right here at the end of the year. This is the last episode of the year, and so I really want it to be just talking about growth and talking about what I'm excited for 2023. And this is the first one that I got a new microphone, so you can finally hear me now when I do the interviews. And now it's just going to be great. I have my banner here, my little studio. So when people come to talk with me, they can sit there and I'll sit on this side. I moved that couch because it's down here right now. Um, but yeah, I have like a little studio now, and it's my first episode doing it, like recording it and putting it on YouTube of just me because I have it for when it's like other people, but not just me. So yeah, if you want to learn more about my self-expression journey, starting from the beginning, I talked a little bit about it in my show when I was talking about the new grounded spirits, but didn't really get into where I started and where I'm at now and where I hope to go. So it's going to be just a personal one about me for this end of the year episode. So stay tuned after the break and then we'll get started. Okay, so to begin, I did not have self-expression growing up. I feel like I was always told to stop talking or that I was being too much or too dramatic. And I really internalized all of that instead of now I realize that it wasn't ever even about me. And it's no fault of my parents either. I feel like I was hurting really bad about my relationship with my parents, and they're both amazing people. But throughout many of the episodes here on Grounded Spirits, I do talk negatively about them because I was just so upset and like, how could they have done this to me? How could they not support me? How could they do all of this? But now I'm realizing that it's no fault of their own. It's just of their own circumstances, their own trauma, their own things that they're trying to heal. Um, and I'm forgiving them. Still in the process of it. There's a lot of stuff to go into with that. I feel like it's like with a bunch of like little grains, like one little grain doesn't mean much, but then it turned into like a whole mountain and then it's like, sheesh, so much. But I feel like that is like one of the biggest lessons that I learned in 2022 of how to fully 100% forgive, and not just my parents, but um, anybody who's ever hurt me in my life. I feel like I was holding on to so much anger, which is crazy to me because I always prided myself on being a person that didn't hold grudges. And I still believe that I don't hold grudges, but I feel like there was just this like energy that I couldn't release until now. And I feel like the first step is to become aware of that energy that needs to be released. So definitely a big lesson about forgiving others and forgiving yourself. Um, Earlier this year, and I say this a lot actually in a bunch of different things, but I used to think that I was a bad person with good intentions. But then I saw this post that said, if you think that you're a bad person, then you're not, even because people who are actually bad don't have that awareness. And that's the cool thing too, is that there is no good, there is no bad. And I do firmly believe that. But it's all about having that awareness. And once you're aware of that issue, then you can change it. So that was another lesson. But this is not going to be an episode about lessons. I will have lessons sprinkled sporadically around it because that's just the kind of person that I am. But this episode is more about like self-expression, and now at the close of 2022, where where am I what am I where am I going for next year in my self-expression journey? I mentioned this on an interview that I did, but I want to mention it again because I just think it's so crazy, like how the universe works. In my book, Monterey, I forgot the name of my own book. It's like so weird, like seeing myself talk, because normally it's just like to just the microphone or to my phone on Anchor when I'm making like episodes by myself. But here I am like looking at myself, and it's just like kind of hard to do. So I keep like looking away. But I feel like that's like also something that I'm working on my self-expression journey. Like I need to be able to see myself for who I truly am. And on an interview that I did that just came out today, actually, um, the interviewer asked me, like, everyone has a perception of you, but what's your perception of you? And I had no idea how to answer it. I was like completely floored. And I was like, honestly, I have no idea. Like, I've just been focusing so hard on trying to get rid of the perception that everyone else has of me that I never even stopped to think about, like, what do I want to do? And then, of course, like in good old universe fashion, I had the answer inside of me, even though it didn't come out in the interview. So I'm doing it on my own show. The how I perceive myself is I really believe, and that's why this podcast is an aspiring change making creative, trying to inspire other aspiring change making creatives. But turns out that is my perception of myself. I've literally built my whole life around that concept. Even when I was a teacher, I would always ask my students, how are you going to change the world? I always believed that. And so my perception of myself is that that's who I am, a change making creative, where I'm constantly changing, I'm constantly growing, I'm constantly like trying to like climb up this mountain like I am in my book. Um, and using creativity to do that. I do talk about that in that interview. I talk about how as a society we need to value creatives just as much as we value doctors and lawyers. And I firmly believe that. But yeah, so back to what I was saying about Monterey, that now, oh, when I reread it, so I did an interview about just about the book, about Monterey, not about any of my other stuff. And in that, I talk about how when I reread the book for that interview, I literally tell myself that I'm on a self-expression journey. And for some reason, that did not resonate at all with me, that it just like whew, went away. And it wasn't until I reread it that it's like, what? I am on a self-expression journey. That is what I am here to do. And then, oh, you know me with all the stuff I see on social media. Um, so yeah, on social media, I took screenshots. I'll actually you can't, huh, on Facebook. I only took a screenshot of my own. So if you're an Aquarius rising or a Pisces rising, I'll put this on the website. But for everyone else, I'm sorry. It was, oh, but you could find this on Twitter. Maybe it's the stars are enough at stars are enough, but they use the same E. There's not a double E. It's like R and then the same E is for enough on Twitter. It says that Aquarius rising. So it talks about like they went through each rising sign, and that this is like your purpose on earth. So for me, and it goes in Aquarius rising, there is much more defined, there is a much more defined need for you to express yourself first handedly through your own life. Your life will serve as a picturesque of what others can model. Don't stop at achieving this feat of freedom, it has always been yours. It has always been yours. So I was like, wow, literally the epitome of self expression, right? Oh, I have so much to say. So then in December, yeah, December 7th for that full moon. Oh my gosh, it hit me so hard. So, so hard because it was when I realized that it's wherever you have your Mars, that's your motivation. If you want to book a reading with me, please do so. Groundspirits.com/links. Um, so I talk about motivation. And so in this motivation one, I talk about I'm trying to find something for you right now. So I'm on my phone. Um oh, so wherever your motivation is, that is what your journey is about. So if your motivation is in the seventh house, then that literally means you're on a journey of finding that other person who complements your true self. But how do you do that? By becoming your true self. I guess where it is for me, my motivation is in my fifth house, which is literally about self-expression. So it was like, sheesh. And I cannot find. Okay, maybe it's here. I'm like trying to find this like picture so you can show you. So that same day when I'm having this revelation, trying to like figure out everything, right? I was in my room and I was like telling my husband, I cannot find this video. Found it. Okay, here we go. So of course I'll post this on the website, but if you're here and you're watching me right now, I want to show you this picture. So you can't even really see it. It's kind of blurry. I'm gonna find a better video, but it looks like this. So there's a bunch of splatters, right? If you're listening to this as a podcast, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for listening. If you're here watching me, it's I made it. I made this art piece, and it was literally we got some black and got some gold. My husband and I we did it together, and we just like went to town, just like put our hands in it, kind of blurred it around, did some splatters, and it ended up looking like really cool. I must have deleted those other ones. Oh, you know where it is? It's on my TikTok. On TikTok, if you go to Grounded Spirits, you can go down the one that says heal yourself. And it literally just like zooms out on this whole painting. So anyway, so I'm having this like whole revelation about self-expression, and then it just hits me that the black is all of the parts that we don't like about ourselves. Those are our shadows. And then the gold is I literally felt when I figured this out about myself that I'm on this self-expression journey. It literally felt like I was like cutting into myself, like my solar plexus. Like I cut into myself, like stabbed myself and like opened myself up, and it was like just like vomit. But it was like beautiful vomit. It sounds so weird. Like beautiful vomit though, where it was just like coming out of me and like splattering the gold all over. And that's when I realized I need to like splatter this gold on everything and everybody. Like that is what this world needs is my splatter. And then that's like what I say, like when I have guests on, I'm like, just do word vomit. Whatever comes to mind, don't think about it. Because I feel like when we think about it, then that's when our mind, that's when the whole like imbalance. So this whole podcast is about balancing your mind, your body, and your spirit. The way I did that kind of reminded me of like Harry Potter and the Deathly Hollows, where you have like the three different, like the Elder Wand and the invisible cloak and stuff, you know? It kind of felt like that, where you have like your mind, body, and soul, and when you have them all together, you're literally unstoppable. But a lot of the time, especially when we like overthink things, then it's an imbalance. And here I have another painting that I did. Can't even see it because the microphone's here. That one. Nope. That thing's like all falling down my mandala. But this is, I didn't even mean to make this. I have a video, but it like cut out halfway through. So I was like, ugh. But anyway, oh, you can't see it. I was gonna do it with my computer mouse. But anyway, you can see that the chakras, the different stones, they're not straight. They're imbalanced. And which one's the one that's so these are imbalanced here. Which one's the one? It's my throat chakra. My throat chakra. And what is the throat chakra for? Self-expression. So literally I have a throat chakra imbalance that has stopped me from being able to express myself fully. And then I had another revelation where I've been writing so many books. I've been doing the podcast. I've been doing so much. And then sometimes I get down on myself and I'm like, but then how come I still feel like I still feel like there's more. I still feel like this is just the beginning, even though I'm working so hard. And I feel like it's because I'm working really hard, but I'm blocking myself by not expressing myself fully. Like anytime that someone brings up like the podcast or any of my books or anything, I get kind of like I get shy. And why? Why should I get shy? I should be so happy that people like thank you right now. You're listening to this right now. So thank you so much for being here. And I guess I just need to like lean more into that instead of worrying about what people are going to think about me or judge me or whatever, because people judge and that's okay because the right people will stay and they won't judge you. And yeah, I firmly believe that. So yeah, I'm on this journey of self-expression, and that's why every single week I have somebody on to talk about how they express themselves and how they navigate life and how they can balance their mind, body, and soul. And sometimes the first two were all three. The third one is only going to be soul. Some of them are only body, some of them are only mind. And that's fine because by dividing it is how we can understand it. And then putting it back together is how it works. So, yeah. So now now that I've established all of my self-expression stuff, I want to get into me and how I self-express. So start with the mind. You can see this is my office, by the way. So here are all of my affirmations. These affirmations come out in Monterey. And then there's the window. I'm getting the harsh lighting on my face. So that's okay. I'm gonna keep turning. You can see my diplomas. And then that's where my PhD one will go eventually when I get it. But so with my mind, I feel like my mind has always taken over. And that's how I was able to be so good at education. I didn't allow my body or my spirit to really shine through. Then COVID happened. And actually before that, back with the mind, I feel like that's why I was always such an overthinker. I was really anxious as a kid. I always feared the worst. I was just a very fearful kid, but I wouldn't show it. I would always put a smile on my face. I was such a people pleaser that I didn't even give myself what I needed. I was just in the business of making sure that everyone else was good. Back to the whole family thing, I was just making sure that all of them were good, that had this little like mind thing in my mind of like checklist of like relationship wise. Are we good? Are we good? How can I make this relationship better, stronger, whatever? And I didn't never did that for myself. And I feel like I needed to do that. I need to do that. I'm getting better at it, but I still need to do that to have like a little checklist in my mind of how do I put it? Like scanning my body. What does my body need? Scanning my mind. What does my mind need? Scanning my soul. What does my soul need? And to each of them of how to express themselves fully. Because I'm not trying to limit my mind. I love my mind. I love where it can take me, how it how it views things, its perception. I love that. So it's not so much limiting it, it's more of allowing others to have a voice as well. It's kind of weird because the thought that just came into my head as I was thinking about that was like with the patriarchy in America, that we call them like the Trump supporters, like that kind of person who doesn't want to share, who doesn't want to give other people seats at the table. And this is such a broad description. Obviously, everybody's different. Everybody, just because you're a Trump supporter doesn't mean that you have all these other ideals. But plainly speaking, it's hard to give up privileges that you've had for a long time. And I feel that within my own body. So it goes back to the whole thing I talk about in Monterey, that we literally have a whole universe inside of ourselves. So that's cool. And yeah, so I don't want to like limit my body. I mean, my mind, I want to just allow my body to express itself better. So I, being a true Aquarius rising, I always wanted to like shut off things that were popular. And so when the gym started getting like really big, like in high school and stuff, I was like, definitely not gonna do that. I don't want to be a follower. I want to do my own thing. So I got really into Pilates, and I love Pilates to this day. But Pilates can only get you so far. Pilates will tone you, even though people say that toning isn't a thing, but I do think that it's a thing. It just like it create what I've learned being with my body now for 30 years is that there's no such thing as skinny and fat, that it's more of like how the muscles of your body look, how the fat on your body is, like all these different things. Because I feel like weight wise, I'm the heaviest I've ever been in my entire life. But strangely enough, I feel the best in my body that I have in my entire life. That's wild to me because I look at pictures. So right now, you can look along with me if you're watching this on YouTube. That part's really messy though, but that's okay. We're being our true authentic self. So this is who I am. We're gonna turn it all the way around. Oof. Connected here for some of the crafts that I'm doing. And keep going and then go up. So you can see all of my pictures that I have. And so these pictures, I'm looking at them, like that one over there in the pink. Where's my finger? Right here. Was that a rave? Tramps Like Us. I was so skinny there, but I was so insecure. even though I literally just wore like a little crop top and little shorts, but I was still so insecure. And so now that I am bigger, I'm not as insecure, and that's wild to me. So, like having the relationship with your body, I've talked about this in other episodes, your ungrounded spirits, but the relationship that you have with your body is so personal that literally no one could ever tell you how you feel in your body. And that's why I was so upset when everyone was on like Taylor Swift and like, oh, she can't say that she felt like she was fat because she's so skinny. But the thing is, if she felt fat, then she felt fat. You can't tell somebody how they feel. And same with like fat people who feel skinny. You can't tell them that they can't wear a bikini if they want to wear a bikini. That's on them. So anyway, um getting more into like how I express myself. So it was always with Pilates and I loved it because having my Mars and Gemini, back to the whole Mars thing, it's about competition with others. And like I loved Pilates because I'd be like, okay, I can hold this longer than anybody else here in the class. I can do this better than anybody else here in the class. And then turns out that that's not healthy. They say that um comparing is like the stealer of joy or something like that. The destroyer of joy. I don't know, something like that. And turns out that the healthy thing is to be in competition with yourself. And my husband's into weight training and he has been begging me to do it with him. And I'm like, that's not me. I don't want to be too masculine. I don't want to be too bulky. I want to be feminine. And then turns out that I am kind of masculine. Um, like with the whole thing of like masculine energy is how I got those degrees that I showed you earlier. That's masculine energy. Anytime that we're putting things in like boxes and everything, that's masculine energy. Feminine energy is flowy and it like moves and like this water. But the thing is, this is actually perfect. We need this masculine energy to form this mountain, but we also need feminine energy to have this water. And I'm one of the big lessons that I learned 2022 is how to have structured fun. Fun is only fun if it's structured. If you're playing a game and there's no structure to it, then what's the point of playing? We need to have structured fun. And so that's why Saturn is so important. And me being having my Saturn in Aquarius, I view structure differently than other people. And that's good because that's what makes me a change making creative. The change making part is that the structure is constantly changing, but the structure is there and we do need structure to have a society. And the creative part's the fun part. That's when you're tapping into the unknown source, all of that, you know? Um, but I do this all the time and I lost what I was saying. So I was talking about mind, body. So so it turns out now that I am in weight training, I actually really love it. I love seeing like the muscles on my body. I love seeing like my growth. You can kind of see it. I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt here, so you can't really see them, but they're there. And even I've only been doing it a little bit, but already I went from being able to pull down, is that how you say it? Little bloop. Um, from like 25 and now I'm at like 45. And then yesterday I did 75 and I was like, whoa, like I'm really growing. Or like even just like having like the bar by itself, it used to be so heavy for me. And now I'm just like, I can do this. And so I feel like it's a sense of empowerment. that masculinity isn't something to hate. And I feel like we do that a lot, especially people that are actual like feminists, you know? I put that in quotes. Feminists are like, oh, we hate guys, we hate the patriarchy and all of that. And no, like we need it. It's just a matter of the perspective and not needing oppressors or people or oppressing others. It's about that balance. Again, with this, we need that masculine energy along with that feminine energy. So, what I was saying at the beginning, masculine energy is about lawyers and doctors. They're facts. Those professions are based in fact. But we need this feminine energy for the creative. It goes back to like what this whole premise of this podcast is 100% human and 100% divine all at the same time. The human part, like how we view God, male. The human part is male. The divine part is female. And that's why they say that the future is female and stuff like that. Because we all need to tap into that divine side. But we have this structure. This body is structure that allows my divinity to come out, and for me, it allows me to be able to create. And so by weightlifting, I'm learning more about my body. And then the craziest thing happened yesterday because normally I feel like I'm forcing my body. When I'm not forcing my body, it's like when I'm at a rave and I'm dancing, just doing whatever, like that flow, that femininity, you know. Or when I'm roller skating, I love that. Or jumping on my trampoline, I love that, like moving my body in that way. Um, and that's great. That's great to have that flow and again, that feminine energy. But when I would be weightlifting, I would hate it at the beginning. And I would say, like, oh, okay, I have to do this, I have to do that. Like, it's just like really negative energy with it. And I feel like because I had this perception that it was masculine, that this is not what I should be doing, I don't want to get bulky. Um, so the thing that happened yesterday, let me tell you, absolutely incredible. Instead of forcing my body, like, okay, you have 5 more to go, 3 more to go, whatever more to go, I supported myself. I was like, even if telling my body, even if you don't believe that you could do 3 more, I believe that you could do 3 more. And I don't know if that was my spirit or my mind, but it was just a voice talking to my body and being there for my body and supporting it and not hating on it, but loving it and accepting it for where it is and supporting it because like, we all need support, you know? That's how our dreams come true. I literally write that. I wish I had my book, my Monterey book here. I don't think I do. Um, the first page is my dedication of the book to my husband because his support never wavers. I'm gonna cry. I could not have written that book or even been able to express myself enough to share my ideas that are in that book because I always thought they were so crazy and like who am I to say that this is how the world works? That these are the secrets of the universe. I literally say that in the book, in the back of the book. But or like even like quitting my job and everything, having my husband like literally support me. He didn't have to do that, but he believes in me. Still does. Still believes in me and he supports me. And that's what true love is. And so if a whole other being can have that much love and support for me, why can't I do it to myself? you know? And so it was so beautiful that literally just last night, for the first time ever, I gave myself love. And it sounds so dumb, like, oh yeah, you can do three more. But I feel like it's like the message behind it, where instead of fighting with each other, we talk about this all the time. We talked about this in the episode with TJ, that sometimes it feels like your heart and your mind are at war. And you don't have to be. You don't have to be at war. It's the whole thing of there's a thin, thin line between love and hate because you still have those strong emotions. It's only indifference that's the opposite. And turns out that your mind and your heart actually really love each other. And they just have to remember that. And that's what happened to me yesterday. And I'm so excited that it happened for the first time, you know? So I'm so excited that it happened for the first time because now it gives me somewhere to move towards. You know, like that's what I want more of in 2023. I want my mind, body, and soul to be able to connect better in 2023. So, so yeah, that's what's going on with my body. I talked about my mind, and now for my spirit. Without my spirit, or rather, how do I express my spirit? And it's literally everything that I do in my career. So that's Grounded Spirits podcast. That's writing my books. That's starting my new projects that I have, whether it's like DIY stuff around the house or any of the other things. I talked about this in one of my interviews. I have this list of things that I call it fun stuff to do instead of a to-do list. And you can like look through it. They are, I'm not going to put this on the website, so you have to come to the video to see this. Because you can't even really see it. It's more of just like scrolling by, but you might be able to catch glimpses. I have 308 things on my to-do list. And in each of these, I just do like a randomization so that I can do a bunch of things. Hi, I'm recording my podcast. Ah, these are my dogs. Almost done. So, anyway, we'll close the door, please. So, anyway, yeah, I couldn't do anything without my soul because that's just who I am. And I feel like every single day I'm just like uncovering more, like more energy is falling down. And I recently just learned that energy is constantly flowing through us. So I never have to use my own energy. I can just always receive energy from the earth and then allow it to come out. And that has been really special. That was another big lesson of 2022. And yeah, so I guess in 2023, I just want to express all three a lot more. I want to talk more about my body and my relationship with it, talk about food, talk about like there's literally relationships with everything. And I want to treat them all the same. My relationships with my dogs, like you just saw, relationship with my husband, who you just heard. my relationship with myself, with my mind, with my body, with my soul, my relationship with other authors. I'm talking to the author of this book, Spiritual Nurturing for Intuitive Children by Michelle Henderson. I talked to her next week. Well, I talked to her already, but its episode comes out next week. So relationships with my guests, relationships with all of you. Thank you so much for being here, for believing in me when I didn't even believe in myself. That's what I love about the Spotify wrap up. Like, it tells you how many people, like, this is their number one podcast. And it's so special that that number isn't zero, that there are so many people out there around the world that choose to listen to me every week. Like that, you know how amazing that is? So just thank you so much for being with me since day one and watching me grow. And I hope that you're learning along with me and that you're growing. And yeah, just thank you so much. Like I said, this is my self-expression journey. So the more that I learn, the more that I share. That this podcast started as documentation of my spiritual journey. And so now it's turning into my self-expression journey. And I feel like that's also really beautiful in and of itself. So yeah, that's all I got for you this week. Like I said, next week it's going to be with Michelle Henderson. So that's going to be super special. It's such a good conversation. It's honestly all over the place, but that's what makes it really special, that we're just chatting and it's great. So thank you for tuning in. Those of you that are watching this on YouTube, thank you so much for watching this first episode of Just Me on YouTube. And I'll see you in the new year. Bye, everybody.